So guys, we are back again for Monday Mindset. This is Quarantine versus Quantum Leaps. My name is Kim, and it's awesome to see this community growing and growing every week. Now, I was with you, I think, was it the end of last week? It seems like only a little while ago. So we're back again, and what are we studying? U squared. Okay, if you've missed out in some of the calls, go back into the unit section right here in the Dynamite Effect. This is something I decided to do once lockdown came in place, and that was to provide you wonderful people content every single week and not charge you a penny. I want to help you grow through this situation and come out the other end with a totally different way of thinking. So good to have you on, Anthea, Sean, Frida, awesome. Massive congratulations to Sean Banning. Why? He made the decision. He's joining us and thinking into results. He's going to have his first call tomorrow night, and I'm buzzing for you, Sean. You've done absolutely incredible in our other programs. I think you've done the Kama Creative Collection. You were at SGR with us last weekend, and now you've made the decision to come in with us for 6 months. Imagine having me for 6 months kicking your bum, Sean. It's gonna be awesome. So guys, we are talking about ignore conventional approaches tonight. All right, so we are on page 11 in our U squared book. If you're only tuning in for the first time, basically I'm going through this very short book around quantum leaps, and we're going over this every week. Every Monday I come in here. It was a wee bit different last week because, well, it's my birthday and I stole the show, and that's okay. And to this week we are moving on to a chapter called Ignore Conventional Approaches, and I'm super excited about this one because it's all about going with the flow, taking it easy, doing things with less effort. Now, I don't know about you, but I think everybody wants that. I certainly want it in my life, in my business, in my health, in my fitness, in my relationships. I want everything just to be easy, to be fun, to be effortless. And that's, of course, what you can create. But that is a mindset. That's a mind state. And you've got to really learn to control your mind instead of let your mind control you. Have a think to yourself tonight, even as you look back on last week. You know, were you being driven by your thoughts and your decisions and your beliefs, or were you being driven by other things, maybe outside of you, or old ways of conditioning? Last week we talked about patterns of behavior and how we need to make a change. So this week we're going to talk about how we can do that with ease and flow, which is my favorite. And I've learned so much about this in the last couple of months just by adapting, changing my mental attitude, because that's the only thing that we can control, and that makes it a lot easier. If we could give up the need to control everything, that would already cut our workload by half. So maybe think about that as you move into this week. Now, it says here you got to get ruthless about trying something different. Now, that doesn't mean that you scramble your way, kicking people down and trying to get to the top. Absolutely not. Remember, we do not work with a competitive mindset. You know, it's about amateurs compete and professionals create. Which group are you in? All right, this is one of the most critical things that you want to think about, especially now. And you got to think, how are you creating? How are you doing something different this week? Even today is Monday, going into a brand new week. Why not make the decision this week's going to be so different for you? You're going to up level. You're going to rise up and lift your attitude, lift your thinking, make today better than last Monday. And if you can just do that on a consistent basis, that consistency grows the momentum. And it's the momentum of the positive attitude, the positive mental attitude moving forward that is going to let you flow with it rather than trying to fight against it. Okay? So it says, if you're trying to climb over a wall, open a door and walk through. If you're pushing against a river, try going with the flow. So imagine it could be easy this week. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're homeschooling, whether you're still working from home, maybe you've gone back to work this week, I don't know. But whatever it is, even if you're doing nothing, just decide, I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to make the mental decision that it's going to be easy. And if you just make that a practice, a habitual practice of that inner talking, you're going to start to see things show up in your life that'll make it easy. And that's one of the biggest keys that I teach my clients. It's never about getting. It's about letting go and allowing. Always remember that, okay? So, as we get into page 12, if you want to open it at your book on U Squared, I'm going to read this and deconstruct it as I normally do. If you've got questions, I would be more than happy to answer any questions tonight. If you do have a question, please type it into the chat box below, and hopefully I'll be able to see it, because despite wearing sunglasses, it is very bright. Okay? So if you've got a question for me about any subject or anything that we're studying here, just drop it in, and if we've got time, I will be more than happy to answer them. So it says, ordinarily, we achieve conventional growth because we think along conventional lines. We experience reasonable performance gains because we rely on reasonable approaches. We find ways to make modest improvements in our level of success because we go looking for nothing more. Quantum leaps require you to abandon the status quo. Instead of once again trying what you have always done, maybe with even more intensity and determination, ignore the usual. Taking this quantum leap requires an abrupt change in behavior. So, to kind of bring this all together, maybe you're only just tuning in. What we've been talking here every single week about is how you can start to pivot yourself in the current climate and take a quantum leap. What a quantum leap means is that you dramatically shift your results. And when I say dramatically, I'm not talking about incremental steps. I'm not talking about doing a little bit better. I'm talking about going against what most people would say is the logical thing to do. Okay, now so many of you have done this, and we're watching you, and you're coming back to us going, oh my goodness, I made that decision, and this happened, and I'm going, yep, that's how it works, keep going. I have a client who I'm going to ask to come on this Thursday and speak to all of you guys, do a bit of an interview like we did a couple of weeks ago. And she has been able to create a business, and I don't want to give it away, but create a business. She's now moved it online, and you would not think that you could do this online. And she has made, I'm going to say 4,000, but it would take her 2 months being a school teacher to create this income. And she's done it in a week through her business. Now imagine that. If you're a school teacher, and it normally takes you 2 months to earn X amount, this client of mine has done that in a week from home by getting creative, by thinking outside the box, by taking those quantum leaps. I just am so buzzing when I see people taking this and implementing it. And I want you all, if you've been listening to my calls, if you've been here on this page, if you've been chatting away with all you incredible people, ask yourself, what is the intention I'm in this group for? Because I'm sure you're in 50 million thousand different Facebook groups and you probably join them and you're a bit nosy, and then you take a wee nosy about and then maybe you don't do anything with it. My big advice would be that you look at the groups you're in and you ask yourself, are these groups serving me? And what am I doing, what responsibility am I taking to action this? Okay, so if you're even listening to these calls every week, from each week, as we've studied different parts, have you been taking little things away and implementing it? Or are you just sitting gathering more information? I don't want that for you, okay? So it says we have to, require to abandon the status quo. So, I feel like I'm repeating this all the time, but repetition is the key. There has never been a better time to do this for yourself. Whatever that is, and I don't know what it is. I don't know you maybe personally, but I know there's something that you're thinking about doing. There's a decision that you're thinking about making. There's ideas that you're maybe even deciding, am I going to entertain these ideas or am I going to push them away like I normally do? Because maybe you've been using work or your old routine as a way to bury your head in the sand. I did that for a long time, so I would imagine there are other people that have done that. But now that maybe that routine has changed and you're now starting to think bigger, and you're starting to wonder, I maybe need to take this into my own hands. Have you been doing that? Have you been making those decisions? Because now, you're going to look back in, let's say, a couple of months' time, you're going to go, oh, why didn't I use that time wisely? All right? I'm sure there's some of you already sitting, flip me, we've been in lockdown for X amount of time. I could have done X, Y, Z. I've said it. So, I'm going to put my hands up and go, there's things I wish I had have done in the last week while, like maybe jogged instead of walked. So use that as an example, because yeah, you could have done it, but you didn't. So we can't cry over spilt milk. But what are you going to decide to do today? What are you going to decide to do? If you're from Northern Ireland like me, or in the UK, lockdown, potentially 3 weeks, review again. What are you going to do in these 3 weeks? Like, see that as a really small little interim period of, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to doing this. Discipline is the most important element and muscle that you need to strengthen right now. So think about that firstly. So it goes on to say, look for a paradoxical move. For example, consider reversing your fade. Try being illogical. Ricochet. If you're trying to climb over the wall, open a door and walk through. If you're pushing against the river, try going with the flow. Use finesse instead of effort. Now, I love that paragraph. That paragraph alone has totally changed the way I work, totally changed the bottom line of an income. Why? Because when you start to, how could I put this, look through a different lens. Right now, you're all conditioned to see life how you see it, okay? And if you're always looking at the same thing, you're always going to see the same thing. And what you want to start to do is just take a different standpoint, take a different view, change your perspective, and play with your process or your model. Maybe it's your model for doing business. Maybe it's your habitual pattern in a relationship, or your habitual pattern with food. The only thing that's standing between you and success is you. You are self-sabotaging yourself. I don't care if you don't believe me. I 100% know that goes for everybody on this call. It goes for me. It goes for Emma Shevlin. It goes for Jane. It goes for Lindsay Hamilton. And these two girls are on my team. We're all sabotaging ourselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, everybody on this call knows that they could have done one thing better today than what they did. Just even one thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how big it is. It could have been making your bed. It could have been, you could have done a few more steps. You could have, put less butter in your fry, like that one's going to Lindsay. There's something that you could have done that would have just improved the result a little bit, but you didn't do it. So what we've got to ask is, if I know to do it, why the hell am I not doing it? And this is what we call, in Thinking into Results, the knowing doing gap. So I want you to start to look at your habitual routine, look at your daily activities, and ask yourself, where is it that I could change this cycle to make the biggest impact? It could be as simple as just going to bed an hour earlier. It could be as simple as getting up an hour earlier. Everybody loves to be up early, apart from my dogs who are now going to torture us. And when you're up early and the birds are out and the sun's coming out, it's the most wonderful feeling. Do you know what's the worst feeling? When your alarm goes off before all of that. That absolutely sucks. So it's about realizing that that's the tricky part, and to just do it. To just take a move forward. Roxy, do you want to talk about quantum leaps? No? No, she doesn't. Okay, so look for a paradoxical move. What would be the most illogical thing for you to do right now? Ask yourself that. Like, maybe something's come up for you this week. I don't know what that is. But what is something that most people would think you are crazy for doing that? I really, really, really encourage you to do it. Because if you're going to fail, this is probably the best time that you could fail. And guess what? You are going to fail at some point. I'm not saying it's going to be this thing or it's going to be anytime soon, but I'm going to feel. Feeling is the most important process of growth. But I would rather you get out and scuff your knees, get the bruises, because now there's a lot of people failing. And this would be probably the best time to skim your knees, to get those bruises, because then you can learn, reflect, grow, and move forward. So ask yourself, what is the paradoxical move? What is the totally illogical thing to do? And just go for it, okay? It says you must do something new. The tendency when you stall out or begin to level off in your performance is to go back to basics and do what you do best. Like, how many times have you maybe seen your income plateau or your performance in the gym plateau or any of those things, and you've stopped and went, right, hold on, back to basics. And you went right back to basics, and you went back to a model or a system that worked for you before. I can relate to this when I was in the fitness world. I remember the first time I got a coach and I got a diet plan, I got a training plan. And I mean, this was a brand new thing. I had no idea if it was going to work. I had no idea if I had muscles. I knew I was born with them, but I didn't know they existed. And I had to trust a process because somebody was more educated than me and told me that it would work. So I did that. And that got me in incredible shape. Now, I remember after my shows, after winning competitions and not winning competitions, I remember then putting a bit of weight back on, and I remember me going, oh, I'm going to go get that diet plan and that training plan, because that, and then these pieces of paper became like the Bible to me. I was like, oh, this thing gave me abs, so I'm going to worship it. And I relied on a process and a system that had worked before. But I wasn't the same person. Because when I got assessed by that coach at that point in time, my body mass was different, my fat levels were different, my muscle mass is different, I was a different age, I was even in a different career. So why would I expect a diet plan and a training program that was made specifically for me at that time? Why would I think it would work now? Now, will it get results? Well, yeah. Because I'm starting to go back to a routine and discipline and following, but it'll only get me so far. And that's where you're at, whether it's in business and life right now. Don't go right back to basics. You've got to now think of a new model. This is what we talked about in the Calm and Creative Collection. If you haven't got that, please go and text me under here. I'll get you the link. That is definitely something you want to have. It's something I created a couple of weeks ago to really help people move into that creative space. But that's exactly what you need. So it says you go back to what you do best. But doing what you do best can be the worst thing that you could do. It really doesn't matter how well you can do something if it's the wrong thing to do. Like, how true is that? Like, we're all really... Here's a good one. A lot of people say to me, Kim, I'm not confident. And I go, well, you're really confident. And they'll go, but why? And I say, well, you're really confident in standing up. You're really confident in putting yourself down. You're really confident at a lot of things. You just might not feel confident in one area. And then other people say, oh, I'm not disciplined, Kim. I'm not a disciplined person. I'm going, oh, yeah, you are. You're just really disciplined in the wrong habits. So if you sleep in all the time, you're a disciplined person. You choose every morning if you're going to get up or you're not going to get up. It's a choice. And whether you're making the right choice or the wrong choice, you still made a choice and you still have to take responsibility for it. So in every moment, remember, I don't have to do it. It's always a choice. But then don't sit and blame something outside of you. See, when you blame something outside of you for your results that you're not happy with, you are not coming from a place of power. You're not coming from a place of a good, positive mental attitude with responsibility. And when you give up your power and you blame other people or other situations, you are totally disabling your inner strength. And I know that might sound a bit cheesy, but it is so true. And if you could see that impact on your energy towards the number it's on your bank account, you wouldn't think it was too cheesy. And yet this is exactly what you need to be thinking if you want to raise your income or raise any area of your life. So it goes on to say, faith in the familiar sets the trap. And you spring it when you reinvest yourself in what logically seems like it should work, but it usually worked in the past. So could you be maybe going to make a change? Could you be maybe trying to make a change in your habit, or make a decision to invest in you, in a business or an idea, and maybe you're just playing it safe? Maybe you're having faith in the familiar. And what I've said to you guys from the very day that this started, and actually I've been saying it for 4 years, what is changing around us? The old models are obsolete. They're not going to work. And if you think that they are, then you really, really, really need to waken up. And I say that from a place of love. But it's not going to be the same. It's not just going to be as easy as going back to the way it was. We'll never go back to the way it was. But that's a good thing if you choose to be prepared. And when preparation meets opportunity, that is the golden thread. That's why I've really been encouraging you guys to use this time to prepare your mind, to prepare your mindset. Because I don't care how good you are in business or in process and systems and all of that stuff, you can never outwork your own thinking. We call it a self-image. It's a part of your paradigm, and it sets the boundaries of all achievement. So the big thing that you want to be using this time now is to work on you from the inside out. It says to make a quantum leap, you've got to break out of the rut where you've been running. Second guess your routines. Overcome addiction to your old methodologies. Set a new pattern. So imagine this. Imagine you just wrote out your daily routine for a day and then a week. Firstly, I think you should do that starting today, because today's Monday. I want you all to just monitor the activities that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Doesn't matter if it was goal achieving or not goal achieving, or a waste of time or not a waste of time. Write it out, because if you track where your time is going for a week, it would frighten you. Think about last week. Do you feel that you got out of last week what you got out of it? Imagine you were told that last week was the last week of your life. Now, I know that's pretty serious, but think about it, because this is a serious topic. Can you honestly put your hand on heart and say, you gave 100% last week? And if the answer is no, don't get emotionally involved in that, but use it to stimulate you and to focus your attention on how you want this week to be. Because this today is creating tomorrow, and tomorrow will create the next day. And that's why we want to just be better every single day. But what we're saying is, you can't do what you did last week and expect then next week to be any different than this week. And you know fine rightly what I'm talking about. Weeks could go by and you still haven't done the thing that you said that you're going to do. And you know I'm right. And you know the best thing is, you don't lie to yourself. You know, you might lie to me, you might lie to somebody else, but you never lie to yourself, because you can't lie to yourself. You always know, the truth always resonates. So whilst I'm not trying to make you feel bad, I'm trying to get you to see you cannot have faith in the familiar. You cannot rely on old methodologies that you've been running by. It says quantum leaps. Oh, sorry, missed out a paragraph. If the things you're doing have quit working, stop doing them. Focus on what works. So again, and this is really key for business, what is that part of your business that makes most of your income? What is that 20% that gives you 80% of your income? Focus on that. Now, for me, that's service all day long. I only ever focus on service. I never worry about where clients are coming from in my business. They are there because they're there. I'm attracting people every single day. But I don't focus on that. I focus on serving you, serving my current clients, being the best version that I can be. And that's how you start to attract everything. Now, there's a lot more to it. It took me a long time to get to this point, and I'm also nowhere near where I'm going to be. But I know I'm a better version today than I was last week. And that's the same for you if you are working on a plan backed by a burning desire and you are being persistent. You're closing your mind out to anything on the outside. You've got to keep a positive mental attitude of your goal in the expectancy that it is already done. Now, when you really get into the itty-gritty science of this, I'm teaching my clients tomorrow morning in my Ignite Mastermind about creation is finished. And it's all about understanding that everything is already here. We're the ones that just have to put all the pieces together. Now, they're pretty in-depth subjects, but there are people in this group that are studying it and getting the results. So you got to allow yourself to at least open up your mind to these new ways of thinking and start to really go, yeah, there might be some truth in this. And it could be as simple as just little tiny things in your life that start to go easier. I just want you to relax on a day-to-day basis and just say to yourself each morning, today is going to be a good day. Today is going to be amazing. And today is going to be easy. And in everything that I'm going to do today, it's just going to work out. It's just going to be sitting there waiting for me. People are just going to text me. Like I did that yesterday. And I'm not trying to blow a trumpet, but here's a prime example. Yesterday I was thinking to myself, I was down on the beach, and me and Lindsay would walk down there at sunset, and we would just sit in silence and meditate and allow ourselves to receive and just really be in that blissful state. And what I was personally thinking about yesterday, I was on the beach, was just, my business growing and people just effortlessly reaching out and it just being easy, just bing, like that. And today, I've closed probably nearly 30,000 in deals today. And do you know what I spent my day doing? Having a beautiful meal, breakfast. You might have seen the big dirty fry out on the grass. I've just finished a barbecue. It has been effortless. Now, I'm a student of this just as much as you're students of this. Forget about the numbers, because you're going to hear that and go, that's mad and blah, blah, blah. It's not, because it's no different to me because I work on that level, so that's normal to me. But it used to take me a year to earn that in a 9-to-5 job. Now I can just demand it. And so can you. This is what blows my mind, because if I can do it and be as effortless at doing it, so can you. And you know what? One of those big deals was a high-end coaching program that I deliver, and it was well past 15,000. And somebody just texted me and said, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And I was like, okay, no problem. Honestly, guys, this might seem ludicrous to you. It might seem paradoxical to you. It might seem illogical to you. But that's because it is. That's because I study this. I apply this. I believe in this. I have unwavering faith in this. I change my methods. I focus on service. And then it works. Now, it's not just me. I'm just sharing. And I hope that you're okay with me sharing these things, because I'm not doing it to bum and blow. I'm doing it to go share with a community and go, guys, look, this is awesome, and help you. I'm a big believer in that. I don't want to be this leader at the top going, follow me. I want to be in there with you, growing with you. That's where I get my kick. If you talk to any of my clients, they will tell you, we talk about everything and we all are totally equal. Yes, I have a higher level of awareness, but I'm not better than anybody. You're not any better than anybody else. It's levels of awareness that are the only things that differentiate our results. Now, if you want to have better results, you got to learn to become more aware. Now, if you're like me and wondered what the hell did that mean, it means studying. It means having a mentor. And this isn't a sales pitch. I don't care if I'm not your mentor. I couldn't care who mentors you, as long as you get to do what you want to do. That's my only focus and goal. If I get to be the person that takes you on that journey, brilliant, because I will 100,000,000% give you all of me. And I think I've proved that and shown that. But the bottom line is, are you in pursuit of that? Sometimes I want it. Sometimes Emma, Lindsay wants it more for people than what they want it for themselves. Now, there's no good or bad in that. But what you've got to ask yourself is, are you in love with your goal more than you're in love with your excuses, of your habits, of all the reasons of why you can't do it? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Okay? And then the last paragraph, it says, quantum leaps come when you seek the elegant solution. So look for an approach categorized by simplicity, precision, efficiency, and neatness. It won't be as complex or time-consuming as your present struggle. Overall, it will be less demanding of your energies and emotions, but it probably will not be familiar to you. U squared calls for a fresh perspective, a deft move, not sure what that means, a path of least resistance. There is a way that you can do more with less. My goodness, I mean, I go over that every week with my team. I'm always saying there's a better way, there's an easier way, and there is. And if you think of it like this, let's say you were driving from Belfast to Dublin. Well, there's many ways that you could go. Okay, you could go through Banbridge, you could go up through the north, you could go lots of different ways. Also, you got to ask yourself, where are you taking off from? So you always got to know where you are before you realize where you're going, and then you pick your route. Now, we could probably drive 100 different ways to Dublin. Back roads, side roads, up, different left. We could make at least 100 different ways to get to Dublin. But not all of those roads are going the same length. Some routes will be quicker, some routes will be longer. If you go the country road compared to, the motorway, that's going to be longer. And the point I'm making is there are 1,000 different ways that you can get to your goal. And you'll either take a long time getting there, or you take a short time getting there, or you take a really hard time getting there, or you have a wonderful time getting there. The decision's up to you. You have got to step back and ask myself, how do I feel today? How do I feel about my goal? And if you are feeling uptight, if you're feeling tense, if you're feeling like, where is the evidence? If you're feeling like not great, then you're probably on the wrong path. But that's not to then throw everything up and go, I got it wrong. It's to go, I'm gonna loosen up. I'm gonna find an easier way to do this. And that could be as simple as you go out and sit in the sun for the afternoon instead of trying to work out what you're working. Now, artists, musicians do this all the time. They know when they're in flow and they know when they're not in flow. You are no different to an artist or a musician. You are creating every single day. But what you're creating is whatever you're creating. It's going to be different for everyone, but you're definitely creating. So ask yourself, does it feel easy or does it feel hard? If it feels hard, then let me help you find an easier way. If you're finding it easy, then bask in it, enjoy in it, and realize that there's even an easier way. Because there is. Just like I was talking about earlier, there's an easy way to make money, there's a hard way to make money. There's an easy way to be in a relationship, or there's a really freaking hard way to be in a relationship. And I've done that many, many times. There's an easy way to get in good shape in your body, and there's a really hard way. Another example could be, and I always say this to people when they're getting married. Let's say you're getting married on the 1st of July. And sorry to anybody who's had to cancel weddings. I'm sorry, bringing salt in the wound. But let's say it's on the 1st of July. Well, you'll find people that get really stressed out running up to their wedding. Then you'll find somebody else who's totally cool as a cucumber. Now, on the day of the wedding, both people have an incredible day. The price is still the same. The weather was still the same. Everything's still the same. And they got to the same destination. But one person had a really horrible time getting there, and another person, it was totally easy. My point is, you're still going to get there. And it's still going to be the way it's going to be. But for goodness sake, realize that when you get to your goal, you're going to automatically go after another goal, which means you're in journey mode most of the time. So you got to enjoy the journey. That's what life is about. It's not about getting, it's not about having, it's about enjoying the unfolding of the realization of what you're capable of doing. That's what life's about. So are you in a vehicle that's taking you there? Are you moving up the gears and starting to get a bit of momentum and speed so that you can sit back on autopilot? Or maybe you can't even get the handbrake off. I don't know where you are. but you're somewhere and you're going also somewhere, because whether you've got a goal or whether you haven't, you're moving forward in some shape or form. So, quantum leaps, path of least resistance, make a decision on whatever it is that you're thinking about, change your ways of working. Be fearless in that, guys. Just go, I'm gonna do it. This is it. I'm just gonna jump in. There's never been a better time. Opportunities are right in front of you, all over the place. But are you hearing them? Are you listening to understand? Are you open to receiving? Or are you still talking about why it can't happen, why it won't work? Because you're never going to hear the answer. You're never going to find the solution if you're not open to hearing it. Okay? So that is my speech done for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Is there any questions, guys? Let me see. Yes, Sean, you definitely had a paradoxical decision today, which was great. So congratulations. Super happy about that. Kira, it's done. Yes, absolutely. Totally focused. The belief. Wonderful. Good. Okay. I don't see any questions. Have you got any questions? If you don't, I will go. I'll give you a couple of seconds. So don't remember, if you haven't seen these videos before, you can get them in the unit section. Also, for all of you guys who joined us on the Science of Getting Rich last weekend, I'm super excited because we have a 3-hour long workshop this Wednesday called You Are the Money. So I'm going to spend 3 hours with you guys, and we're going to do everything about money and mindset and all the rest of it. So that'll be on Wednesday. You will have got your email if you were a part of that Science of Getting Rich group. If you weren't, sorry, don't text me. You can't be a part of it. Unfortunately, you snooze, you lose. So, okay, I'm not seeing any questions. So I'm going to go because the sun's away. It's still very bright. I've now got suntan lines from my glasses, guys. Awesome. Okay, well, it has been absolutely awesome being back with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, I would also ask you all to add people into this group. I think, if hopefully you have felt that there's been a great benefit to this group. If there's anything that you want, I'm here, happy to listen and take on board suggestions. If there's anything you would like more in this group, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to help you. If you've been sitting on that fence and you want to have a chat with the team, I've put the link in, book your call, because we're changing things up here in the very near future. And let's just say, if you're thinking about joining us, now would be a really good time to do it before things change. All right, but that's just between me and you and your heart. All right, so book a call, have a conversation. You never know where it's going to go. And if there's anything else I can do for you, let me know. All right, guys, have a wonderful week. Remember, track your activities, look at where you're giving energy and time to, and then reflect and review and ask yourself, if I had my goal, if I had already achieved what I would achieve, is this what I would have been doing? And probably not. Okay? So make those little moves and do something totally random and illogical this week. I task you with that, because it'll shift things in your mind. It starts to rewire the brain, because it's so used to doing the same thing all of the time. All right, have a great week. It has been lovely being with you, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.